Yes, I'm sitting here with an action figure of Winston Churchill, the great British leader during World War II that fought the Nazis. He has a message for Republicans when it comes to negotiating against gun controllers. Stay tuned. Hey folks, I'm Mark Smith, host of the Four Boxes Diner, best-selling author, constitutional attorney, and of course, proud American gun owner. If you haven't subscribed to the Four Boxes Diner to show your love for the Second Amendment, please do so and show your love for the right to keep and bear arms. Okay, folks, I'm here with a friend's Winston Churchill action figure. Yes, one of my friends has a Winston Churchill action figure. It's actually very cool. Why am I sitting here with this? It's because he has a critical message that he delivered to the Republicans about how to deal with anti-gunners, gun controllers, when it comes to negotiating. Now, he wasn't specifically talking about gun controllers in this speech, but let's talk about it. On January 20th, 1940, Winston Churchill said the following, a famous quote about crocodiles. That's right, crocodiles. What was that quote? The quote goes like this: "Each one hopes that if he feeds the crocodile enough, the crocodile will eat him last. All of them hope that the storm will pass before their turns to be devoured." What was Churchill talking about in 1940? Well, of course, Winston Churchill was talking with that quote about the appeasing countries and the appeasing politicians. They were trying to negotiate and get along in some way and give up something to Adolf Hitler, the Chancellor of Germany. And Winston Churchill saw through this. He realized that no matter what you gave Adolf Hitler, no matter how much land, no matter how much money, no matter what concessions you made, no matter what treaties you signed, like the Soviet Union learned the hard way, Adolf Hitler wasn't going to be satisfied. He was always going to be back for more the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year. So Winston Churchill's strategy was simple: defeat the Nazis, win the war. Now, it seems to me that when it comes to Republicans on Capitol Hill trying to deal with requests for gun control by the anti-gun community, Republicans have lost the lesson and forgotten the lesson, or maybe never learned it, of Winston Churchill. You cannot appease people that want to keep taking away your rights. Here's what happened in the last 2 weeks. It illustrates my point. And by the way, you guys have seen my videos before. I was not satisfied. I thought the Republicans should not even touch this issue. There was no reason to. We'll talk about that in just a second. So what happened about 2 weeks ago? Well, Joe Biden signed the first gun control bill, federal gun control bill, in decades. That included things like subsidizing red flag courts, which I think is a terrible idea. It included expanding prohibited persons under 18 U.S.C. 922G, which I thought was a terrible idea because it's going to be it's a definition of the boyfriend loophole that can be easily manipulated, in my view, by any judge that doesn't like you or doesn't like guns. So I didn't think it was a clear law or a good law at all. And of course, I don't think the gun rights movement got anything out of this deal. But set that issue aside. The point I want to make is this. So what happened literally 10 days later? 10 days after Joe Biden signs his gun control bill, guess what? The House of Representatives, controlled by the Democrats, are literally on the verge of passing a bill to ban so-called assault weapons, which, as you know, is simply AR-15s, commonly owned AR-15s, semi-automatic rifles, right? No big deal. That's what they are. But here we have, literally within 2 weeks of the biggest gun control bill passing Congress in decades, and sure enough, the Democrats are right back at it, asking for more, which is exactly what Winston Churchill would have taught the Republicans, and what many people in our community said to the Republicans: don't give them anything. Why are you giving them anything? We're literally on the verge of a huge Supreme Court victory, which we got in NYSERPA versus Bruin. And if you watch this channel, it was predicted. Exactly how the whole thing was predicted, laid out. The opinion was predicted by here. All of it was predicted by here. Even Clarence Thomas writing the opinion was predicted here. So it wasn't like secret. In my view, the Republicans certainly would have been smart enough to know this. And yet, nevertheless, they go out and do this fake. I call it fake. It's not really bipartisan because, there was like 15 Republicans voted for this, 4 of whom are leaving office. They're retiring in the fall. So 4 will never have to see voters again, right? So you have all the Democrats and like a handful of Republicans and pass this gun control bill. And again, immediately thereafter, the Democrats are back trying to get more gun control through. Immediately. Winston Churchill would have said to the Republicans, look, the anti-gun movement is going to always want more gun control and to reduce your Second Amendment rights until you have no guns, till you have no right to keep and bear arms in America. Nothing you do will appease them. Don't bother. Don't try. Unless there's some huge benefit to the gun rights and to the Second Amendment to the Constitution, don't even think about doing it. Because all you're really doing is you're feeding the crocodile of the gun control movement, and they're going to be back for more immediately, which is exactly what happened. The crocodile came back for more, and the crocodile will never be sated. The gun control movement will never be sated or satisfied until we are disarmed, until you have complete civilian disarmament. Don't feed the crocodile anything. Winston Churchill made that clear when he talked about the appeasing countries that were trying to negotiate and, cuddle up with Hitler so they wouldn't attack them and Hitler would maybe leave them alone. Obviously, we know what happened there. And I think the analogy is the same way. You cannot negotiate with the gun controllers. There is no upside. Now, I will, in fairness, because I like to be precise and correct, there is an exception that I will make. The only time you should consider trying to negotiate some sort of gun control is if it is inevitable. If you had 60 Democrats in the Senate and you couldn't stop it and there was nothing you could do about it or something like that, and all you're trying to do is to minimize the damage, so be it, right? If you have a losing hand, then you're just trying to minimize what you lost. So, for example, I think that back in 1994, when the so-called assault weapon ban was enacted, kudos to whoever came up with this. I'm guessing it was the NRA or someone like the NRA that came up with this. But kudos to whoever realized that there should be a 10-year sunset provision. So when you get to 2004, the so-called assault weapon ban expired. It went away. It sunsetted. And thank God for that. So someone negotiating for the gun rights community in 1994 recognized that they probably didn't have the votes to stop the bill altogether. So what did they do? They at least negotiated a 10-year sunset plan. Okay, so again, if that's what you're up against, you're literally have no choice but to negotiate some sort of modest surrender because you just can't stop it. I get it. But that's not what happened here this year in the Senate. The Democrats couldn't move forward. They weren't going to get rid of the filibuster because Joe Manchin won't allow it and Kristen Sinema won't allow it. So why were the Republicans cooperating with the Democrats to give them a gun control win when you knew Bruin was coming, which was a huge victory for the Second Amendment, and you knew that the anti-gunners would be back for more immediately, which is exactly what happened. So again, going forward, please learn from the quote of Winston Churchill. Don't feed the crocodile, because the crocodile will never be satisfied until we lose all of our gun rights, which I don't think will ever happen, by the way. But we must remain vigilant. Okay, well, I hope you learned a little bit something about Winston Churchill, gun rights, and how to think strategically. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so, and we'll see you again soon here at the Four Boxes Diner.
Orders up. Table 2A.